talked about the amount of injuries and how they're unpredictable. What do you think the correlation between NFL turf as opposed to grass is for some of these injuries?
Well, when turf first came out, I'm that old.
Yeah.
We're looking
Astro
at
turf.
the Silverdome days. It was injury after injury.
It was like playing on concrete.
It was concrete with a little bit of that asphalt stuff on top.
Yep.
Now there's been it's amazing. Like we could do a show just on the science on how to put turf on a field right now, and it's not just professional. It's all the way down. You look at St. Mary's. You look at all the schools around here, Brother Rice. They all have turf, right? It's big. And is it the turf shoes? And we came out with turf shoes. The cleats were digging in too deep. It was locking you in. There's a lot of factors going into it. There's a lot of money going into it also. So right now, turf versus grass, there's problems on grass. Grass gives too much. So there's pros and cons to both. Are we going to get a perfect field? No, because you've got guys colliding at 70 to 80 miles an hour, and if you just put them out there and hey, go play flag football or something like that, it's a whole different game and lack of injury. But does it play a role? 100% it's playing a role.
Okay.
Are we working hard from a scientific injury prevention work? Yeah. Just like we're working on the helmets every year. They're trying to make the game safer, right? The whole thing with concussion and all that stuff. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. They're not out there to watch guys get hurt. They're out there.
And let's be honest. There's multi-billions of dollars in lawsuits coming their way for not helping the players and not taking the initiative.
Exactly, and I think they're trying to be proactive.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a malignant. Maybe back in the day, next man up, we don't care. You're paying these guys.
It was more ignorance than purposeful, I think.
Yeah.
It was just like, they're tough guys. Go out there and play.
Yeah, the macho thing took over for everybody. I mean, you sit there and talk. I mean, I love not going to hockey, but, the hockey guys, the old football guys, we had helmets. Even like when my dad played, my dad was a big athlete, with the leather helmet and all that. I mean, but the collision rate was reduced.
Right.
Then the argument is us against rugby and stuff. These guys are wearing no pads. So do they go at that? Do they go in that 10th, 11th gear to collide? So there's a lot of pros.
Yeah, I heard there's one of the things with the helmet research and stuff like that is the guys when they play rugby without helmets, like your body almost instinctually protects your head more than it would if you had the helmet on, knowing that you can take the hit. So there's almost part of human psychology involved in it too.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're braced or you're casted or you're in your own little bubble, and you can go through that wall.
Right.
If you're like, hey, I'm going to feel that, I'm going to react a little bit differently. But yeah, I mean, look, we can blame and we can look. I think it still gets down to the Lions' injuries are related to the intensity that they're playing, and that's it. I mean, there's turf is playing a role, grass is playing a role. The cleats are playing a role, the equipment's playing a role. The pre and post game is playing. It's all. You can't point to one thing.
Yeah.
Doc, are we going to see the bobblehead helmets on every player on the field in the next 5 years?
Well, I like seeing it in the youth.
Sure. Big time.
Because, those kids are making different type of decisions, right? I don't know. I mean, I love. Hey, Pete, can you pull up the Jetsons piece where the Jetsons are, where the robots are just playing against each other?
I wish I could. That'd be copyright violation.
Does it look like that, though? They all got the helmets on?
You've never seen that show?
No, I've seen the show.
The Jetsons. We know who the Jetsons are.
Yeah, I've seen the Jetsons, Doc.
The Jetsons where it's
Judy.
robots playing football out on the field and you're cheering like it's your team. So it all gets down to a gamer on the sideline. But no, No, I don't think we will see it. I think you're going to still see evolutions of the current helmet. It's for more protection than the bobblehead helmet.
Well, Doc, you brought up the youth, and that's something that I know you're passionate about, and a project that I know you're trying to get off the ground and initiate. You tell us a little bit about that and how you're trying to help the young athletes?
Well, we were talking out loud on the last show, and, it's just, I can get on my soapbox about insurance companies and the politics of the United, the CEO being shot for certain reasons and stuff like that. But you almost have to have something that drastic. They interviewed people and they got how many people are feeling bad. Do they feel it was right? Was it a wrongful death? We do have to have a shock to the system to make a change. There has to be a change. So therefore, my adaptation for 2025 is I'm already doing a lot of free work, right? The insurance companies are denying us right and left. We can't get what we need for these young athletes. I know, I'm considered a center of excellence, but I still can't order an MRI on a young kid. It's like we have to delay 4 to 6 weeks for them to fulfill some goal they have to delay care.
Right, and that's a whole football season for a kid.
I mean, it's a football season. It's a scholarship.
Yep.
It's everything. So what we talked about, and I'm pushing on Woodward Sports, is that maybe I'll just do a free clinic for those who can't afford it. For those with the insurances where they have to go to a doctor that doesn't really know what he's doing. And they're, not knocking doctors, but, I use the analogy, you want to go to a plumber when you have a plumbing issue, right? Same thing with a doctor. You're not going to the electrician to figure out what the plumbing issue is. It's going to having the ability, and that's one of the reasons I want to be on Woodward Sports and get the voice out there that there's the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. And these insurances are not dictating you to always go to the right thing. They'll go to the lowest person on the totem pole, which is the last person you want to be with sometimes. Not saying it's wrong. Is it good for the masses? Yeah. I don't treat the masses. I treat a very small elite group of athletes, and these are young athletes. I don't care if you're 6 years old or 18 years old. That's going to dictate what you had. I think it was Spencer you mentioned, hurt his back as a young kid.
Yep.
And never been the same. I mean, was he mistreated? Was he just like...
I don't think he was treated. I think that's the thing. A lot of young people don't have that insurance to where they can go seek out a doctor like you.
Yeah, I mean...
Especially once you get off your parents' insurance and stuff like that,
Right. I mean, it's, restrictions, timing, so we're floating the idea that, we used to do a bump clinic on Saturday morning for football injuries on Friday night. Maybe it's something similar to that. So we'll work on that. We love feedback from people. Would we have a GoFundMe account for people that can't afford? One thing is to diagnose them and get them in the right direction. The other thing is to give them that therapy that's going to be, I challenge therapy companies. I've already pushed on MRI Southfield to get a special rate for these kids. So we do want to, if I can reduce the amount of injuries going forward, and these kids don't know what's in front of them, right?
Right.
We can sit there like you're talking yourself, like I hurt myself 20 years ago and I'm still suffering from it.
Yep.
I'm one person. I blew my back out at 15, took me out for a whole year. Ruined my whole basketball career.
Took you
Harrison
down.
High School.
Same deal for me. I blew out my ACL, MCL, PCL. My first doctor I went to told me I might have meniscus damage. And I was playing on it after that. I went to an MRA and they're like, no, this absolutely has been shredded. You look at Monty, who has some of the best guys around him, and he's going for other
three
opinions.
doctors.
So I'm curious,
He
Doc.
should have just come to me. But
You would have
doubt.
cleared him right away.
No, I mean, I told you Monday morning what was going on.
How much do you see this, though? How many times do you have athletes come to you for the...
much.
Yeah.
Ungodly too much. I've watched scholarships be wasted. I've watched kids be on the sidelines. I've watched, when we were real big in hockey, we were at the Troy Sports Center. I saw hundreds and hundreds of hockey kids. And, we felt good about that. And it was just the treatment. I mean, I put a lot of kids out because of concussion protocol back then. So it's just, my point is also that these coaches are pushing something they don't know either. The level of coaching has elevated too. You need to push through it. Oh, you need to do something. I always put red flags or things to look for to the parent. Like that was my big educational thing for hockey. When you watch the kid doesn't know he's hurt. He's just short striding on the right side because his hip hurts, his knee hurts. You can see a difference of his mechanics while he's watching. If the parents notice, the coach better be the first one to do it.
Right.
Like when we're dealing at an elite level, like we did, my big thing was AAA hockey and championships and stuff like that. These kids are already, going. They're almost like a real team that we're treating them. But it's the young kids. It's those 10 to 16-year-olds that are getting, is it development? Are they on course for just adolescent changes. Can they skip? Can they have balance? There's other things we can make you a better player the earlier we get you.
Well, appreciate it, Doc. And once you come up with a name for this foundation, we'd love to throw.
We can ask the people. To
Yeah,
name it
we'll throw our weight behind it too, because obviously sports are something we care about deeply here at Woodward Sports as well, especially youth sports. Especially what the youth has been through in the past 4 years with sports, like not being able to play for years, being locked out of gyms, and not being able to pursue their dreams. So there's a lot of things that we need to address. But you taking this idea and making it a reality for kids, you're going to help a lot of people. So let us get behind you on that, and let's have these further discussions. And thank you for coming in each and every Tuesday and Thursday.
Did you want to bring up Frank Ragnow?
We got to run, but we can bring up Frank.
I got a quick question, though. You were a hooper? Was that your main sport?
Yeah.
What position?
I was a power forward.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who was the guy that made you want to play the game? Who was your favorite?
I mean, I'm close to Gervin and those guys.
Nice.
I mean, those are my days.
Very
Gervin
cool.
and Dr. J, and the Pistons were pretty good back then, but it was that black and
Dan
white
Roundfield.
Yeah, it was that black and white TV I had that
Okay.
kind of get in that West Coast thing. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick shout out for Frank Ragnow being nominated for the Walter Payton. We're talking about charity. Here's a guy who's doing it at a high level. He did a tribute to his family members. And
That picture's great.
Yeah.
I once caught a fish this big.
Yeah, so it's just these guys are human with big hearts, and we're worried about playoffs and Super Bowl, but the guys that give it back, I give 100% more.
Well, that
credit
guy's
to.
playing with an inoperable toe all
No
season
doubt.
too. So let's
Just wrap that thing.
yeah,
Right?
just
wrap it up.
spit on it. All right, thank you, Doc. Thanks for coming in today. We appreciate
guys.
you. And
Happy holidays.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on Expert Sports Injury Insight with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that I trust. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.